Hello, everyone, my beloveds. This has been um, this has been an interesting experience. Yesterday afternoon, I was feeling a lot of what I call empathic pain, and it's pain. Hi, Gina and Erica. Yesterday, I was feeling a lot of empathic pain, which is deeply felt pain, but pain that is not mine, that I'm picking up from those around me, near me, dear me. Hi, Lori. And Erica's here too. And Rosetta. Wonderful. Or I should say Rose. So I had this really strong impression that I should do a workshop today at a conference on dealing with fear and pain and anxiety and how to move out of it into a sense of peace and love and inner peace. And so I'm like, okay, well, like what specifically? And I heard this really distinct message of, you'll see. And I'm like, oh, I don't do presentations, workshops, those types of things without having a real clearly prepared idea of what I'm going to talk about. I oftentimes go spend most of the time just coming from my heart, but I've got a framework in my mind. And again, it's this little chuckle. Hello, welcome. And so I went about and did some paperwork and some other things last night, and I'm laying in bed, and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do tomorrow? And I hear this laughter, this chuckling, and this thought came to me, isn't that ironic that you're having some anxiousness about what you're going to talk about tomorrow about anxiousness? And so that was enough of a light moment that I was able to get to sleep and have really just kind of trusted and let go and just surrendered to allowing to come to me what needs to be talked about. So let's begin by setting the container. So if you would be willing to join me, and you can do this with your eyes closed or just kind of looking off into the distance and just soften your focus. But let's take a few deep breaths And we're going to do, if you were in the last conference, we're going to do 6363, which is breathing in slowly to the count of 6, holding for the count of 3, exhaling for the count of 6, and then holding for the count of 3. So let's breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. 1, 2, 3. Inhaling to the count of 6. And as you do so in your mind, visualize a tall, mighty mountain and feel yourself expand and grow with that mountain, lifting yourself up as you breathe. And then when you get to the count of 6, just pause for the count of 3 and visualize yourself as an eagle just riding the winds effortlessly, just being. And then for the count of 6, we're going to be a beautiful waterfall, just kind of collapsing into ourselves and releasing all of the tension and anxiety. And then for the count of 3, visualize yourself as Mother Earth, and with our roots deep into the soil of Mother Earth, feeling grounded and centered and strong. So let's go through that again, breathing in as a mountain, holding for 3 as a eagle, exhaling as a waterfall, and then holding as mighty soil with roots sunk deep. One more time, breathing in as a mountain, holding as an eagle, exhaling as a waterfall, and then holding as roots in the soil. Good. And now, as we look at our lives, especially the last while, the challenges, the frustrations, the anxiety, both universally throughout the planet, perhaps in our community, in our family, and our own challenges. And there are some steps that we can take that will move us out of total frustration and anxiety into peace. And the first one is to just step back, step out of the question, step out of the problem. Just take a momentary step back and then do what we were just doing, and that is breathe. And just as you're breathing, just focus on your breath. Easy, easy breathing. Focusing on your breath. And this will take you from the crazy, chaotic, outside thoughts into our inner connection. And then, and this is, they're all important. Ask yourself, what part of this situation do I have control over, and what part do I not? And I find, just for myself, that oftentimes my biggest anxiety, my biggest frustration, my biggest is when I'm focusing on things that I have no power in, no control over. If my son and daughter-in-law are having an argument, and I get all upset and I get worried and I get, okay, there's nothing I can do about that. So all the stuff that's going on with politics in the U.S., we have listeners from all over the planet, but in the U.S., a lot of strife and a lot of conflict and a lot of upset. So what part of that do I have control over? What part do I not? For example, if I am overwhelmed and heartbroken and upset because thousands of children go to bed hungry every night, I can get on Facebook and I can rant and rail and complain and do B&M therapy, bitch and moan therapy. I can do, complain about it to everybody. I go to the grocery store and the grocery store clerk says, "How's your day?" Well, let me tell you about these starving children. All of that shows a very caring and loving heart. And it's also focusing on powerlessness. So instead, I volunteer once a week at the local food bank, or I volunteer at Meals on Wheels, or I make a daily contribution to a food bank or a soup kitchen. I go down to a soup kitchen and I volunteer. I serve food. Now I've shifted from focusing on the problem to focusing on the solution. So if I'm upset because somebody thinks something terrible about me, okay, I step back, I take a deep breath, and I say, okay, what do I not have any control over? I don't have any control over what they think or what they're telling other people or what have you. Okay, what do I have control over? I have control over my reaction. How I'm going to respond to this. Am I going to focus on how mean they are, or am I going to focus on making a difference today? And by doing so, helping myself to feel good about myself. One of the challenges that we have is, and I have shared this before, if I were to say to you, whatever you do not think about purple hippopotamus in a pink tutu. Whatever you do, don't think about that. You can think about anything else, but don't think about a purple hippopotamus in a pink tutu. What are you thinking? Exactly. And so when we tell ourselves, don't think about such and such, don't worry about blank, we set ourselves up for failure. So now I'd like you to, in your mind's eye, envision that you're looking over a large valley. You're up on the mountain and you're looking over a large valley. And this valley is filled with rose bushes that are in full bloom. And some of these roses are red, some are white, some are salmon, some are yellow, all different colors in this beautiful panorama of color. Now, as you were thinking about those rose bushes, did any thought at all come into your mind about a purple hippopotamus and a pink tutu? No. So stop trying to get yourself not to think about something. That's a sure fail. That's a sure fail. Now, so focus on what I have control over, and then focus on that. My dear friend is upset with me. I have no control over how they feel about me. However, I choose to send them love and send them energy of healing. I choose to send them an email or a message, not a defensive one, not even mentioning the upset, but just, I sense that you're having a rough day today, and I wanted to share my love and appreciation for you. I hope you have a wonderful day. It's highly likely that it will improve their day, and almost guaranteed it will improve yours. So Terry writes, is it better to ignore all the rumors? Terry, that's a great question. And there's a wise old saying that says, never try to change someone's opinion of you who is committed to thinking ill of you. So rather than try, it really kind of depends on the situation and the person. If it's someone who generally likes you and feels safe with you, and there's some kind of misunderstanding, then yeah, reach out and say, I sense that there's some miscommunication going on here. Let's talk about this. If it's someone who just seems to love to spread rumors about you, lies about you, and trust me, I've had many of my own over the years, you have to just let it go. Because I work with a number of people, working with a few right now, who has someone who is like deliberately going out of their way to be mean and cruel and hurt this person. And when you respond to them and say, why are you being so mean? Why are you hurting me? Then you're rewarding them, which will only increase that behavior. Once you come to the realization that they're doing this not because they don't understand, but because they are committed to holding this negative belief, you have to just cut and let go and move on. So, yes, it does hurt to lose good friends. And so, again, we look at the situation and we say, okay, what do I not have control over? I don't have control over if they choose to stop being my friend. What do I have control over? I have control over setting myself up into new groups, going to a women's group or a men's group or a healing circle group or a there's a lot of groups here in Washington State, all kinds of groups. You have groups that go hiking. You have groups that play volleyball. You have groups that meditate. So get connected with people that have the same interests as you and build some strong, healthy relationships. Erica says, love yourself more. That's first and foremost. Absolutely. And Terry, I'm answering that question even before you ask it. Universal truth, guaranteed. We teach people how to treat us by how we treat ourselves. I struggled with that for years, and I attracted narcissistic, self-centered people, and I had to take a really deep look at myself and ask, how do I treat myself? Do I put myself last? Do I avoid considering my feelings, my thoughts, my importance instead of taking care of, just focusing on them? Then I'm teaching them that I'm not important. Now, I don't say the words to them, but it's like energetically that message is delivered. And trust me, it's received. I've worked with probably hundreds of people, and I've said to them, try it. Start treating yourself the way you want others to treat you, and see if there's a difference. And every time they come back and they say, wow, people are more kind to me, they're more respectful to me, they're more considerate. They start asking, well, what do you want? Because I started asking myself internally, well, what do I want? What do I want? And so if you're feeling a lot of pain and anxiety because people don't treat you very good, then take a moment and ask yourself, how can I treat myself better? How is the way they are treating me mirroring how I am treating me? Because I guarantee you, I guarantee you that it does. How people treat you is a perfect mirror of how you treat you. Erica asks, how do you feel about the phrase, I deserve better? Erica, I don't know that I would use those words, but I would use something close to that. And that is, because I don't want to get caught up in what they're doing. I want to look at myself and say, I'm going to treat myself better. And as I treat myself better, then others will. Terry writes, what do I want? A very difficult question. Yep, you're right. You're right. It's not just mothers. Culturally, there are many who are taught to put ourselves last. I would agree with you. Hi, Carolyn. I would agree with you that typically women struggle with this more than men do. I grant that. And men and women struggle with this, and the resolution is the same. If I am being, and this brings up a really good point, if I'm noticing that everyone is treating me disrespectfully, and I look within and I realize I'm not treating myself respectfully, I'm not valuing myself, I'm not honoring myself, I'm not taking care, I have to own that. And at that point, it doesn't matter why I feel that way. Well, it's because of my mom. Well, it was because of my dad. Well, it was because of my ex-partner. It doesn't matter, because what matters is right now, right now, right now, right now. And right now, I'm the one who's treating myself disrespectfully. And if I focus on, well, and I did this for years, well, the reason I'm the way I am is because my dad was this way and my mom was this way, and that puts Brad into a victim state of, well, I am the way I am because this person was mean to me and this person was mean to me and I didn't have a chance. Well, perhaps when I was 4 years old, I didn't have a chance. But I'm a little bit older than 4. Like 56 years older than 4. Now, whatever pain I am bringing, that's my responsibility. If I'm not honoring Brad, that is Brad's responsibility and only Brad's responsibility. Now, does that mean that I can just say a 3-word incantation? Poof! I no longer dishonor myself. I no longer put myself last. No, I wish I'd have more money than Bill Gates if I had that incantation. It's a moment by moment looking at ourselves and saying, in this moment, am I honoring myself? Am I valuing myself? And how can I do it differently? Someone says to me, I notice that no one really cares about how I feel. Okay, then this week I'm really going to be mindful of valuing how I feel and giving honor to that, giving credence to that, valuing that, honoring that. And then I'm just going to watch and see. Many years ago, was in my early to mid-30s, I wrote an article called Universal Flashlights. And it's still true today. I wrote about that my life's journey has tended to be like walking in a field late at night. There's no moon, and someone has a flashlight, and they point the flashlight in front of my left foot, and they say, "Step here," and then they point on my right foot, and they say, "Step here, step here, step here, step here, step here." And most of the time that works really well. Sometimes I have a bit of a tantrum. And I fold my arms and I say, I'm not going to do this anymore. And I stomp my feet and I fold my arms and I say, I'm not moving until you turn on the floodlights and show me the next 50 miles. And my guides and angels smile and they say, okay, we can wait. So I stand out there in the middle of the darkness, in the middle of my little tantrum, and then I come to a place of humility, and I say, okay, what do you want me to do? And they just simply say, step here, step here. Now, what I can do, what we all can do, is we can pre-pave where we want to be, but that's our responsibility. And the person who creates my future is me. So, and what some people don't realize is we all pre-pave. If I wake up in the morning and I'm laying in bed and I think, oh, today is going to be a horrible, horrible day. Guess what? I've just pre-paved my day. If I'm going over to my mom's for Thanksgiving and I think, this is going to be so uncomfortable and it's going to be torturous and it's going to be lame and it's... And then we... and then we drive home self-congratulating ourselves. Yep, I knew it. I knew I was going to be miserable, and diddly by damn, I was. Way to go, Brad. You predicted that accurately. No, I pre-paved it accurately. So, realizing that we're pre-paving all the time anyway, let's pre-pave what we do want. And we can do that broadly, or we can do that in there's a really powerful thing called segment intention. And that is, I wake up and I'm laying in bed and I think, oh, this is going to be the most exquisite morning. I'm going to get myself a cup of coffee. I'm going to go out onto my patio and I'm just going to breathe in the morning air and watch the sun come up, and I'm just going to be in a place of peace and appreciation. Then, when I'm ready to move on, I'm still sitting on my patio, and I think, okay, I'm going to go in, and I'm going to get ready, I'm going to have a shower, and I'm going to brush my teeth, and it's going to flow effortlessly and easy, and with no problems, no joy, all joy, it's going to be great. And then I get into my car and I say, my drive into this appointment or to work or whatever your situation is going to be easy. I'm going to flow with traffic. It doesn't matter if traffic is heavy or light. I'm just going to find myself easily moving along to where I want to go. The lights will be with me, and I'll get there and I'll be in a super great mood. You get the point. Segment attention. Just as you approach a new segment of your day, prepave it how you want it to be. So, Michelle asks, who's holding the flashlight? Great question, Michelle. Truth is, I am. I am. So, one last thing before we wrap up here. Way in the early years of television, there was a show starring Groucho Marx. And it was kind of like the early version of The Tonight Show and those types of shows. It was kind of he had guests and he did skits and so forth. One of his skits is he's in his doctor's office and the doctor comes in and he puts his hand way over his head and he says, "Doctor, it hurts when I do this." And the doctor looks at him for a few minutes and says, "Don't do that." That's my advice to you. If you're doing something and it causes you pain, don't do that. Whenever I go out with my boyfriend or my girlfriend or what have you, I'm miserable. It's painful. It's awful. Don't do that. I talk with people all the time, myself included, because I talk to myself. I don't want it to get out, so I'm going to put it on live video on the internet, but I talk to myself. And it's like we go up to a tub of dry ice, and with our bare hand, we pick up this bar of dry ice, and it's burning our hand, and we can see our hand blistering, and we say, "Ow, this hurts. This really, really hurts." And we call up our friends and we say, "I'm holding this dry ice and it's burning my hand. It's creating third-degree blisters on my hand. What should I do?" Put the bar down. If you're focused on something that's causing you pain, put the bar down. I posted a thing on my page a while ago, and I showed two pictures. One was a box of puppy dogs, and one was a box of dry ice. And the simple, it was a bit long, but the simple message was, you can either pick up the puppy dog or you can pick up the dry ice. What I don't have any power over is to pick up the dry ice and then say, how can I make this feel like a puppy dog? It doesn't work. Terry says, yes, but you have an intelligent conversation with someone who will give you like-minded advice. Terry, that's your choice. If you're having conversations with someone that is demeaning and disrespectful, then one of the ways that you can love yourself is to find someone that loves you and talks better to you. However, that will never happen until you start treating yourself better, and still until you start loving yourself. One final thing, and while I'm saying this, now's the time to post your questions and stuff, because I'm happy to address questions and so forth. A great question to keep in the back of your mind, to put on the visor of your car, to put on the mirror of your bathroom, to put on your nightstand in your bedroom, on your refrigerator in your kitchen, is simply, what would someone who loves themselves do? You're faced in a situation. Do I go through door number 1 or do I go through door number 2? Do I stay or do I go? Do I say yes or do I say no? Oftentimes the most powerful question is, what would someone who loves themselves do? And then do that. Terry, there's funny that you would ask that. I am putting together a class on self-love, and so anyone who would be interested in a class in self-love, it'll be reasonable. I'm not sure if it'll be like 4 to 6 weeks, but it will be reasonable. And we'll come together. It'll be a conference meeting where I'm talking, you're talking, and we all can hear each other. Terry, send me a private message, and we will be discussing these things. Okay? All right. I know these are challenging times. I feel your pain. I feel your fear. It's a very unsettling time in our personal life, in our communities, in our states, in our nation, and in the world. Today there was a horrible act of terrorism in Barcelona, and we send our love and support to those who lost people and who had loved ones who were injured. We also want to remember Heather Heyer. What a beautiful soul. That really hit me hard because Heather reminds me of one of my daughters, Delaney. Some of you might remember her from the mudslide. Powerful, strong woman with an important message. And as her mom said, you killed my daughter to silence her. But I've got news for you. You've only multiplied her or amplified her. Let us be the amplifiers of love. Let us amplify the love and the message of Heather and others. Let us be the voice of love. Let us be the voice of support and encouragement. I love you all. I appreciate you all. I enjoy these because I really feel you. There's a real sense of connection. And I love and appreciate all of you. Blessings today and always. And may God bless you always.